Alright guys, so in this video I am going to be discussing the Mohamed Atta martyrdom final will video that was originally filmed in January of 2000. Supposedly it was recovered by the United States intelligence. Now, Atta was not the only one in this video. A fellow hijacker pilot, Atta and Jarrah, was also in this video. Jarrah, the main hijacker pilot of the flight that crashed in a field in Pennsylvania, mainly because they didn't hijack the plane quick enough, likely due to some hesitation by the main hijacker pilot, because that's really who was in charge when it came to these groups. And there's also some speculation that the muscle hijackers didn't even know what that plan actually was. The fact that they were dying until maybe a few days before, we really can't confirm that, but it really wouldn't surprise me. Obviously, these two men giving their will in January of 2000, and it's crazy. You can see via the screenshots on the video, it shows the date. Well over a year and a half before September 11th, the video was released in 2006 by the US government with no sound. However, there have been transcripts that have come out. They've been translated on what the final will was of Atta, and it's really nothing surprising. It mainly has to do with religion when it comes to this situation. Another interesting thing about this video, supposedly there was an appearance from Osama bin Laden, and it's not surprising with such a highly thought out plot. These two men knew they were going to die, and I don't think they knew it was going to be September 11th, but they knew kind of the range and the plan potentially going into motion, them traveling to the United States, staying in Florida, or I'm not even sure they knew they were going to be staying in Florida, but going to the flight school, learning about the interior of a United States airplane, commercial airplane, and then obviously what they thought completing their mission, mainly based off of religion and obviously the wills. You can see both of them laughing. Kind of an interesting video because that's one of the only videos we have of Mohamed Atta laughing, and Jarrah is a very interesting case himself because he's got multiple videos you can see on YouTube of him dancing, looking totally normal. Everyone says about Atta how dead he looks pretty much in every photo, really outside of that single one. Now, sure, there's been other photos of Atta when he's younger, at university, things like that, but Jarrah was a little bit different to where it did look like he had a bit more of a personality. And really, when it comes to events like this, hijacking airplanes, this really dates back to, I would speculate, probably the 80s, but definitely the early 1990s with the Bojanka plot, which I'm sure many people are familiar with, possibly hijacking 10 airplanes and crashing them into various US skyscrapers such as the Sears Tower, the Twin Towers, things like that. And we do also know, and this has been widely reported, that bin Laden did not expect the towers to fall. It's one of those things to where I don't think really anyone thought the towers were going to fall, especially when you look at the plane impact into both the North and the South Tower. It kind of just seems like the tower absorbs the plane. That's the best way I could put it, and obviously we really don't know what we're seeing because a plane is traveling 500 miles per hour into the side of an 110-story building. That's not something you really see ever, and that's also another reason why I think people are confused when it comes to both of the towers collapsing, maybe the lack of debris on the ground. I'm just not sure there's really a situation we can compare to two 110-story buildings collapsing within a 30-minute time frame right next to each other. It's just impossible to compare that to something else and say, well, there's no debris. But it is understandable that they probably didn't expect the Twin Towers to collapse. It was more of symbolism that they wanted in terms of attacks on America, considering they did also crash an airplane into the Pentagon. And you're not going to get widespread damage to the Pentagon. It's just not going to happen. It is a horizontal building, and it really only affected 1/8 of it. And they basically committed, I would say, almost as much damage as possible onto the Pentagon. And it still really only affected one little side wing of it. I guess you could say, what if they flew it a little bit higher and crashed it in through the top? But that's so hard. So it was more of a symbolism thing. Bin Laden did not think the towers would fall, and apparently was presently surprised that they did. Now, when it comes to the existence of this video, it was a VHS tape the United States raided a training camp in Afghanistan. That's where this was located, and that's the only reason that we even have this. And originally it was just still frames and like screenshots of it, but if you look back in the archive, it's been well documented. This video, you can find it relatively easily. However, there is no audio that I could find in terms of this video. If there were audio, you wouldn't be able to understand them either. The video mainly focuses on them talking to each other and then Atta reading his final will, and the video is commonly referred to as the martyrdom video. Now, the definition of the word martyrdom is a person who voluntarily suffers death as a penalty of witnessing to and refusing to renounce a religion, which, was really not what was going on when it comes to the act of September 11th, but that's what it's known as, and that was just the final will of those two men who were both pilots. Atta crashing the first plane into the North Tower, and it's interesting to follow the timeline based off this video, which was, again, January of 2000. Mohamed Atta first entered the United States on June 3rd of 2000, so about 5 months later in Newark, New Jersey. And then he re-entered the United States on January 10th of 2001, which was basically a year after he filmed this video, committing himself to this mission, which he knew would be an instant death. So it was about a year later, his second entry. And when he entered in January of 2001, it was through Miami, Florida, which is where the flight school was. It's so interesting to see how long this plan took to go into action, and multiple entries into the United States by Atta and several of the other hijackers, but they still were able to fly planes into the Twin Towers and also the Pentagon. But that is just the story of the final will video, which was over a year and a half before September 11th. And it seemed like after the initial reports in 2006, there were a bunch of stories on this video that they recovered during a raid in Afghanistan. But after that, there was basically radio silence on this video, and people couldn't even find this video up until recently, and now it's been located and it's been archived. And another thing I wanted to mention, the video that I uploaded, because I did gain a few members and I wanted to throw a video up just to test it, that video, the 17 facts on the Twin Towers, I tried uploading that to the channel probably about 7 times. It's just not going to happen. I think I included too many photos of like probably the Marriott cut in half, and that was the big issue. So I just decided to throw that up. I have another one saved, but I might end up just doing like analysis reaction to rare 9/11 videos and just put it up on the members only, because obviously that's not stuff that can be monetized at all. And I did find a crazy probably about 8,000 view video where you can actually see the North Tower, the damage that it sustained from a far away, like zoomed out view, and you can see the side of it with like a divot in it. It's a very rare video that really not a lot of people know about, I'm sure, because it only had 9,000 views. It was recommended to me randomly through a recommendation. So when it comes to that video that I uploaded, or it was already uploaded, but I just made it so it was actually available for the members. That was up, that was originally filmed in like September. So I just want to make that clear. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.